Welcome to Coffee with Joy. I'm your favorite host, Joy, with Coffee with Joy talk show and podcast. I am so excited to have my guest, Antoinette, as we'll be talking about all things traveling, right? Who loves to travel? Who loves to see the different scenery? And I know you do too. So I have my guest, Antoinette, who's a traveler. She's going to share some of her expertise. She's going to share some of her great findings and so forth, how the conversation leads. But of course, if you would like to find her, we'll have her information below. And then, of course, if you have any information or anything that you need to seek, sought, she's the woman for the plan. So after these messages, we're going to speak to my guest, Antoinette.
Joy. Got a story, a business, or an idea you'd love to share over a good cup of coffee? I want to meet you. Come be my guest on the show. We celebrate voices big and
Welcome back to Coffee with Joy. I'm going to bring my guest, Antoinette, back. Antoinette on. I don't want to say back, but on.
Hi.
Hey, Antoinette, how are you?
I'm doing just fine. How are you?
Good. So we're going to jump right in. Can you tell people a little bit about yourself, and then we're going to move forward with the conversation? And this is a great topic.
Absolutely. Yes. So I am Antoinette, travel creator behind The Fancy Friend. I show my solo travels. I give tip recommendations, hotel recommendations, things to do. If you want to talk about travel, I'm the one to talk about it. I am so excited. I love solo traveling, so I talk a lot about that on my channel as well. And I'm excited to talk to you and your audience about my favorite topic.
Yes. So how did you get into traveling? What made you become this solo traveler?
Yes. So I see my travel story kind of as two parts. Okay. Before solo travel and after before and after solo travel. So before, I traveled when I was very young. My mother's actually an immigrant, so there's some travel involved with that. She's from Bermuda, so I remember traveling internationally quite a bit when I was younger, going back home and things. And then my first big trip, kind of like without my parents, was actually to Japan. I studied Japanese when I was in middle school, and kind of our culminating trip was an exchange program. And that was a big culture shock for me, obviously. You know, I'm a girl from Baltimore, and they paired us with a family who lived out in the mountains. We lived on a farm. They were up at 5 a.m. Herding sheep. And so that was a big change for me in my life. But it really was just a blessing that, my parents were able to do that for me, and to able to instill that love of finding new cultures and new languages with me. So kind of like from then I knew this is a big, beautiful world. I'm so privileged to be able to see it. And like, there's always something, even when I was younger, that I wanted to do. So I grow up a little, go to college. After college, have my little travel savings account, and then adulthood kind of hits you, and you're like, oh, okay, things are a little bit more expensive than I thought. I thought I was just going to be able to do all this traveling. So I did a few trips with my friends, Mexico, Bahamas, things like that. But I'll tell you the story that led me into solo traveling.
Right.
It was during COVID. I was turning 30, and it was right at the height of like that second wave of COVID. So before my friends were turning 30, and they were right in that period in between waves where it was like kind of okay to go outside, but like kind of not really. And I said, but it's my 30th birthday. Everyone else got to do their birthday. I'm doing my birthday. Okay. I don't get to do my birthday. And then I got COVID right before my birthday.
Oh, wow.
So there was no going outside for me.
Oh no.
And I was so sad, but I was like, you know what? It's fine. I'm going to wait to the next holiday, and we're going. But the friends I was going with, they actually had separate trips planned with their partners. And I was like, oh man, I wish I had a partner to travel with. And I said, wait a minute, hold on. I can do this myself. Wait a minute. I can do this myself.
Right.
I did it. Like literally within a month, I got my travel credit card. I set up my high yield savings account. I made sure I had enough, money to take care of what I needed to do, but set a little money aside to go on this trip. I spent a whole Saturday, like obsessively researching. I went to Panama City, obsessively researching Panama City, where to go, how to change over my money, things like that. I got my global entry, and I was out within a month. And just from there, I mean, I was nervous.
Yeah,
I was nervous. I think I was more nervous to tell my parents, like, hey, I'm going to Panama City by myself this weekend.
Yeah,
And they're
yeah,
like, oh, Florida? No,
yeah.
not Panama, Florida, Panama, City, Panama in Central America.
Right. Wow.
So that was the beginning, and it felt so freeing to be able to do it. I mean, just to be able to plan the logistics behind it myself, to actually get on the plane, to not, speak a lick of Spanish, but still being able to navigate the country. And during the trip, I met other female solo travelers, at the hotel. I'm like, okay, this is a world. I'm not like a weirdo out here,
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
this myself. Like it really unlocked something within me. And that was, I think, 2022, and it's been up ever since.
This is my favorite topic. Of course, all topics are my favorite. So, but traveling is like
Yes.
walking into a real world book. You get
Yes, I love that.
you get to see for yourself at the expense of you. Of course, we both would go to the same city and see something totally different, right? But
Yes.
just
Yes.
being there that many people may not be able to go to, right? And just be able to
Mhm.
just traveling, period. Of
Yes.
course, planes are my number one riders, but
Absolutely. They're always there for you.
always, right? So now that you have experienced this solo traveling, how has been like what has been the ups and downs of traveling solo? Because many
Yes.
are afraid, you know.
Yes.
And I don't know the statistics, but if I can even extend this, I know somebody may say something, but many Black women don't travel alone.
Mhm.
Of course, our counterparts, they'll pick up a backpack with a 4-month-old.
One backpack, and that's it for 3
Look,
months. So yes.
and we ain't talking about no over weekend, like you said, they're gone for months.
Yeah. They'll
Us,
they'll, they'll figure it out.
for a weekend, but just the solo travel, not many Black women do it. But
Yes.
what has been like your ups and downs of traveling solo?
So actually one of my unexpected ups was being able to relate to Black women in different states of their lives.
Mhm.
Since I was going solo traveling, and I shared it, people from many different walks of my life, people who are older than me, younger than me, were either like, oh, I look up to you. I've always considered doing it, but like once you started doing it, like I felt that I can do it. Like women I've looked up to my whole life, I'm like, you looked up to me? I just got on a plane. Like, you're this amazing dynamic woman, and you're looking up to me.
Yeah.
But and I think as you said, this is a topic that whether you're like, deep in the trenches like I am of travel, or you just, you like to go to Mexico for a week, and people, enjoy talking about that. So I felt that it's been able to facilitate a lot of conversations with different people in my life. And we've been able to talk about things deeper
Yeah.
than just travel. So a lot of what you said, a lot of the hesitation behind solo traveling can be cultural,
Yeah.
especially when I'm talking to women, of different generations. It was an almost unheard of thing to do for many different reasons.
Yeah.
There's societal factors, there's economic factors. They were, maybe having children earlier, having, getting married earlier, or is it just not even having enough agency of your life to be able to do things like that. So I always feel like it's such a privilege for me to be able to do that. But it's really been able to connect me with different people in different ways. And then it showed me a lot about myself, and a lot about who I can be.
Yeah.
If I can figure out how to take a train in Slovakia, for an afternoon, I can figure out how to speak up at work, or I can figure out how to save money, figure out, my personal finances. I can figure out how to advocate for myself. I can, figure out a lot of different things, and it gives you a kind of confidence that you maybe, don't even think of. I was in Toronto last year, and I'm just walking around with a matcha in my hand, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, this feels normal to me, just being able to walk around a city that I've never been able to do. And it was a really enlightening moment for me, like, oh wow, I'm like, I'm a powerful woman, like,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
not even in a braggadocious way, but it just
Yeah.
in a way that, you know, I'm able to do this and to and it's not saying that I'm not afraid or not scared or not nervous. Um, all of those things happen, but I'm more curious. I'm more interested about other things than I am apprehensive about it. You know, many times, especially the first time when I was to Panama, I've been on a airline I never even heard of before. I wasn't sure about how any of this was going to work, but it was just something in me that
Yeah.
just people call me brave, and I sometimes I don't feel like it. I feel maybe more adventurous, but maybe it is a level of bravery
Yeah.
um, that I have, and that I think that we can tap into um, if travel's your thing, or what have you. This just happens to be my thing.
Yeah.
So even through traveling, I really want to encourage other women to find what makes you happy, what makes you tick, whether it's, solo traveling, whether it's, working out, whether it's being creative. There's something that makes you tick. And for so long, women, again, may not have had the agency to be able to do that. But now we're in a moment where we have a little bit more of that. So really look at what makes you happy in life. What are the things that make you tick in life? And I talk about that, again, travel gets to be so much deeper than just getting on a plane, going through things. It's,
Yeah.
it's really about looking, into yourself, and this is our one life, and being able to live it the way we see fit.
Yeah. And really not allowing fear to be our friend, you know?
Yeah.
And
Oh, we have to write that down. Don't let fear be your friend.
literally, you have to. That's why I love meeting new people because it pulls something out of you, right? And when you hear the
Yes.
conversation and someone talk about they travel, yeah, we could do virtual. Yeah, you could go on YouTube. Yeah, I could hear your story, but to actually be there
Mm-hmm.
it's a different taste, different adjective to how you explore the world, And
Yes.
of course, when I saw you, and I was like, yes, traveling, that's chef kiss right there. Because
Oh.
I'm telling you, I know, at least that's what I believe, right? I may not be able to touch every part of the world, but the parts that I've
Mhm.
touched, I thank God that I was able,
Amen. Yes.
dance and prance and now just go out and really see the world, despite what's going on, life is gonna life, right?
Life is gonna
And
life.
and again,
Yes.
not allowing fear to be my neighbor, my friend, and get some daring people. And it's just a conversation like internally. If she's doing it, what makes stops me? And you do it, and
Yes.
you have to center yourself, okay, I may not want to go to Africa right now. Let me go
Mhm.
to Puerto Rico, you know,
Right.
to see what that solo travel. And to your point about the solo, it just brings so much air. Cause I'm telling you, when I did it, oh my goodness, it was like you
Yes.
became open, the conversation, you really just let go. And there's no holding on or trying to live under no one else's agenda. You're on your own time.
Yes. You
You're
get to do
free.
what you want to do.
Correct. And I know now I'm building to, and when I say build this wall, not in a negative way, it's just that there's non-negotiables when I travel. So I
Hello.
want to get my experience because I know many people, they go, you have yours and I have mine. So now
Mhm.
me, like yourself doing a solo, as much as, yeah, I would love to go with a girl trip, no problem. But now I know me now. Going
Yes.
out, I get to explore. I get to
Yes.
just see what I want. I don't have to sit here and argue and being in the midst. And that type of level is on a whole different mainstream when you travel alone. Now, when you
Yes.
travel, what do you take with you that's like a non-negotiable item when you travel as a solo traveler? We see it all, right? But we know nowadays they even charging for the dimension of the suitcase. My God, but
Yes.
that's the
Yeah.
story. You know,
Um,
so
so
what are
I'll say
items?
I am a meticulous researcher
Mhm.
before I go on these trips, because I
Yeah,
want it to be as seamless as possible.
yeah,
Um, so I'm someone who downloads everything that I need to download offline, So if my data goes down, I have my ticket, I have my confirmation number, I have the map to know how to get somewhere. Okay. I know how to get to the US embassy. I know the name of my hotel. If I'm going somewhere where I don't speak English, I can figure out enough to
Yeah.
say help.
Right. Yeah. Help. Yeah. And that's good. And that's great to know because a lot of people don't think about that, right? They don't think about,
Mhm.
sending your documents to even to few people,
Yeah,
of course, couple of people that you can trust because as a solo traveler, we always have to think about the safety, and even
absolutely.
just downloading those items because again, the internet is liable to fail us too. And
Mhm.
just because it works here may not work over there or things may go wrong. So that's great to hear. Now,
Yeah.
as you're traveling, what has been like the greatest thing, your best travel trip that you have done solo that's like, wow, I must do this again and maybe again for the third time.
So when people ask me this, I say the same thing all the time, and I'm sure people are tired of me talking about it, but Iceland was my favorite trip, and it's kind of contradictory because I hate being cold.
Yeah.
So there was really no reason for a country named after ice to be my favorite place to
Right, right,
be.
right.
But it was just a level of peace that I got on that trip that I just did not know.
Mhm.
Um, I'm not even sure that I even knew existed. So first you get there, it's otherworldly. Like I've, previously have been to, I've been to Asia, I've been to Central America, South America, but when I got to Iceland, the nature first and of itself is you feel like you're on Mars. I was like, am I even like still on Earth? So it completely gets you out of everything that you know, but in a way that's like calming and relaxing. Like the air is fresh, the water is fresh, the people were very kind. And I had this moment. I actually made a TikTok about it recently where
Mhm.
um I was sitting in a fancy restaurant. I ordered champagne for the first time, and I'm sitting in the window by myself, and I really thought that that I would be lonely or I would feel odd, sitting in this, sit down fancy restaurant alone by myself. But I just felt this wave of peace. Like this is the woman who, like, deep down, I knew I wanted to be, but I just didn't know if I was ever gonna be her.
Mm.
And, it wasn't about, being able to afford a nice dinner, being able to afford it. It was being confident and being sure
Yeah.
of myself. It was having that inner peace
Mm.
enough to be able to sit alone in a new country with my thoughts and to be okay. And just from that moment on, I said, you know, I enjoy this
Yeah.
and I want more of this. And I went home and I really set my life up to be able to do this and obviously I'm very privileged and blessed to be able to create a life
Yeah.
that can be centered around travel. So
Yes.
I absolutely use that privilege. So I mean, I set up my savings account. I make sure I set my PTO days. I've been working like on my boundaries. I'm not going to be able to do everything. I'm not going to be able to spend on things that and being able to be really intentional about my life and how my life looks, what I'm doing with my time, and understanding that that's not selfish.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times when women talk about that, immediately it's selfish. And people get to pour into themselves. Other people have been able to pour into themselves for centuries, for thousands of years, and now I think it's our time as Black women to be able to do that. And inherently, I think that once we're able to do that, we automatically pour into the other
Yeah.
people who are around us.
Yeah.
I think that's something that it's just so ingrained in us, but we're always the last on the list.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
unfortunately, during the pandemic, I really saw what that looked like in a
Mhm.
lot of women. Like years of not even intentionally neglecting themselves, but once again, that those societal pressures that we're just so set up to be like. So that's when I really decided that um I'm going to come on that list. I'm going to make sure I now I was in my 20s, but I was like, I'm going to make sure that, throughout my 20s, my 30s, my 40s and beyond, that I'm on that list of people that I serve. And I want to encourage other women to make sure that they're also on that list of the people that serves. Because it's when you do that, your community is going to be stronger. The people
Yeah.
that you're with are going to be stronger because you're the best possible
Yeah.
version of yourself.
Wow. So after these messages, we're going to continue to talk to my guest Antoinette, because this is very powerful. We know that traveling is self-care. Traveling is more than just a trip. It really builds in. So I'm so glad that Antoinette has spoke about, Black women, it's our time. Take the trip, PTO, prepare the others, whatever the case may be, plan yourself accordingly. So after these messages, we're going to continue to talk to my guest, Antoinette Joy.
Got a story, a business, or an idea you'd love to share over a good cup of coffee? I want to meet you. Come be my guest on the show. We celebrate voices big and
Welcome back to Coffee with Joy. We'll bring my guest Antoinette back on. So yes, it was such a great segue into our, as I think when they think about the trip, is not, they don't zone themselves in, right? They gotta go, they gotta get this, they gotta get that, and they feel, and then to the flip side, they feel like, oh, I can't do it because I'd have this and I have that, which is true, but God gave you the same 7 days, same 24. You may not have benzo money, but God has given you the provision to make it. You may not can't up and go. You may have to plan accordingly, but I'm a believer, don't leave yourself out of the equation, because many times we always fall when we always take care of everybody else, or when we see this and that, and that's how things build up in us when we are afforded. Now, afforded looks different, right? I may have to put $20 aside. I may have to put $30 aside. I may have to say, okay, you know what? I'm gonna pay for the plane ticket. Next, I'm gonna get the lodging. Next, I'm gonna get, you know how you eat. So even with myself, when I go on trips, I don't buy gifts, I don't buy trinkets. I don't get all that, because now in the age we're in, you can order online and I can say, here's an elephant, and you're like, and you're saying this authentic. Well, I just saw that on Amazon,
right.
So it's to authenticate something is very hard, but again, if you come. So I think that's very important. I know traveling looks different in so many ways. People see and going on travel, but it's self-care. It's a relief. I get excited when I look for that. Your whole your body just changed, your mindset, everything. Of course, this was a leisure or, just going out for yourself. I know many people travel, but we're talking about travel for self-care, for making sure that you pour into you, that you don't leave yourself outside the equation, and really go for it. So it's always great, when I hear people travel stories, when I saw you, I was like, it's right up my alley. Yes, I'm a solo traveler. Never thought I would be one. I never thought that I would be one.
I didn't either. I knew I wanted to travel, but growing up, the concepts of solo traveling to me just not even was foreign. It's just I didn't think that was a thing that was done. And to come to find out, people do it.
I'm telling you, there was a whole lot of stuff holding back, fear, like, oh my goodness, what if I do? What if I get stuck over there? What if I, and God's saying, you building all these walls. I didn't even give you a brick to the. So why are you building it? Meaning
when
that
I made this big, beautiful world, and I made you as deserving of as anyone else to be able to see it if that's what you want to do.
Yes. There's so many things in place. There's travels insurance, if you feel like you want that, notify people. It's so many things in place, but we knock it down before we even get to there, right?
So, I mean, right now, 16 people have my location. If something happens, people have copies, of my passport. And now with the internet, I remember one of my first trips, they do like walking videos of different cities. So like if you're nervous about being able to navigate something, like you can literally go on YouTube and see the street where your hotel is, or map it out. Down there you can find out how often the bus runs, or which train to get on. You need to stand this at this part of the train station to go there. This side, can Google which side of the airplane has the best view. So there's a lot of resources that are available to us now. And before, you had to pick up a map, hope it wasn't outdated, hope
Yeah.
the numbers were correct, hope that your travelers checks were there. We didn't have FaceTime for when those times when you do get lonely or something really cool happened and you want to talk to somebody about it. We now do have those resources that just make it a little bit easier to do. You have real time,
Yes.
we know what happens in countries more or less. When we get there, we have a lot of resources now.
So much resources. Like
Yes.
it's endless. The resources are endless. So there's
Yes, you
no
just have to use them.
correct. And just be proactive. And I say that out loud to say to myself, because these are tactics that I use as well, making sure, okay, this is where I want to go. Like you said, extensive research, asking people, get around asking questions. And then social media, people are already gone there. People already said,
Yes.
you could say the pros and cons. If, I understand people want to make it look flowery and great, but you could say, hey, what's the bad side, to this place so that
Exactly.
you can see and not be so caught off guard. So it's so many information that you can put out there. Now, where do you see yourself in the midst of traveling? Like in the next 2 years, what do you see yourself with traveling, being part of travel? Where do you see yourself in that in the next 2 years?
Oh, I have a list of everywhere I want to go, and it's quite extensive. So I hope I can make it. So definitely, I want to, keep on solo traveling. I desperately need to make it to the continent of Africa. I haven't been everywhere else. I need to go back there. I need to go back there. And really just, I guess wherever the Lord puts on my heart, honestly. And that's really how I try. I get something put on my heart, and then I'm like, oh, I have to do this. But I definitely right now am in the midst of growing my social media channels. And that's really just to be able to tell these stories to more people so that people can see that, it is possible. I get a lot of comments like, oh, I'm so happy to see someone who looks like me
Yeah.
in these places. And I'm just like, yes, please. Like, if it's on your heart to do it, try to don't let fear be the thing that's keeping you away
Yeah.
from it.
Yeah.
There's plenty of other things that may get in your way, but don't let that be. Or another thing that comes up a lot is, I can't take off for 10 days, or I can't, go somewhere for 14 days, or I don't want to leave the country. That's fine. That's
Yeah.
fine. Travel is really what you decide that you're going to make of
Yeah.
it. I'm someone who likes to, run around and try to get a long layover so I can squeeze another country in and try to do a day trip. But listen, if you want to go to Mexico for a couple of days and chill on the beach, again, solo travel is about what you want to do. It's about learning yourself, as you said before, deciding what things matter to you or don't matter to you, or being in a space where you feel comfortable. So while you can get good information from people online, don't necessarily compare yourself to them or
Yeah.
think that you have to do what other people are doing, or everyone's like, oh, Miami's played out. If you like Miami, go to Miami. Okay, life is short. If that's what you enjoy doing, if that's what helps you relax, go do it. Or
Yeah.
if you want to take a solo trip halfway around the world, if that's what's like, life is so short. We have to do the things that bring us joy in our lives.
Yeah. And that's just the bottom line. Don't I think social media kind of just add the extra salt to something that shouldn't be there. But
Yeah,
again, you as an individual have to be the decipher and have that attitude. You know what? I don't care. I'm still gonna go.
exactly.
Still having that mindset and really build what I want. Really see what I can gain from here. And not letting someone else dictate the idea of something that's kind of watered down when it really isn't. It's just because
Right.
probably you went and it didn't work for you. But I definitely would say, go with the plan. Go with the
Yeah.
plan so that you're not let down. So that you're
Right.
me. I remember going to Ghana and I had three non-negotiable. It was to get an outfit made, get my hair done, and get a massage done at the waterfalls. I met all three. Well, two and a
Ooh.
half. The outfit, I didn't find a pattern that I really screamed. So I said,
Mm.
do it again because I'm going back again.
Yeah.
It screamed to me, but I felt like I know that trip was complete. I did everything I wanted to do, and it was fun,
Exactly.
and I made sure I stuck to it. I paid in
Yeah.
advance, so I didn't have to worry about it, making sure the
Hello. There you
was
go.
legit. I did all this, like you said, it was very extensive, making sure, of course, back and forth on Google, YouTube, social media, because my circle does not encompass that. So I don't know who been to Ghana, right? They may have
Right.
my sister, she's from Ghana, but she lives there, not really travel. It's one
That's a
thing
little different. Yeah.
like you live in a place and someone tell you about your city. You be like, I didn't know we had that monkey.
Right.
Oh
When
my
did I
God.
get there?
So they're from there, so they really don't know, and things are always erecting. People are
Yeah.
people are going building things in various places. So do the research, go after it. But I mean, don't be afraid to travel. And of
Don't
course,
be afraid.
if you can get in the
Yeah.
car, you get in the plane. But again, who am I?
Right.
Hey,
Exactly.
So Antoinette, traveling, this conversation, we go on and on. But
Mm, yes.
what keeps Antoinette going, through life, through issues, we know no man is exempt from
Mhm.
any life without lifing. What keeps Antoinette going?
Um, well, obviously, the first thing is the Lord and my relationship with God, and growing up, sometimes you hear people say that, and you're like, oh, okay. Then as you get older, you're like, the Lord is keeping me. That is who is keeping me. Okay. Woo, I understand what they
Mm.
meant.
Yes, yes.
um, but specifically in the realm of travel, and I spoke on that a little bit earlier, is that my being able to travel is just a confluence of so many different factors. I have been so blessed. I have such amazing privilege to be able to want to travel, to financially, be able to do it, to have a support system that's able to do it. Um, and I think back onto all of the women in my bloodline who may have wanted to do this, but honestly just never had been in the position to do it. On my mom's side, I'm first generation American. I'm one of the first women
Mhm.
in my family that wasn't, born on a little tiny island in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah,
And not that that precludes you from doing anything, but there's more
yeah.
opportunity in my life than in some of the foremothers of my life, and I almost feel the support of them with me
Mhm.
when I go. Like I hear my mother's voice, you know, telling me to, try this out or do this for me. Women who even still today aren't
Yeah.
able to, travel and go places and do things for, any myriad of reasons. So I feel, so connected to that sisterhood that's within all of us when I go places and I see things and I'm able to come back and talk to people. And again, um, I'm again blessed to have different generations of women in my life.
Mhm.
So I know that I have, younger ladies who look up to me that now know that this is a possibility that you can do in your life. Miss Antoinette's been to all these places. If I want to go somewhere, I can. Or some of the
Yeah.
older women in my life who are in different chapters are so excited to me. Like, I'm, so and so years old. I'm, considering going on my first solo trip. Like, can you help me? Can you talk about it? And I'm like, yes, please. Like, and because once again, I know it's not just about the travel. It's not just about the travel. It's about living a full and a happy life,
Yeah.
doing the things again that bring you joy. So the Lord and the sisterhood and the womanhood all definitely go hand in hand with keeping me going.
Amen. Amen. So again, thank you so much, Antoinette, for being on
Thank
Coffee
you,
with
Joy. This
Joy.
has been amazing.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So thank you all for listening. Thank you all for hearing what traveling is all about. It's more than about traveling. So keep in mind, this conversation is more about traveling. It's about getting out, really knowing who you are, and really explore and not living life under someone else. So again, just strategize, strategize, strategize. And if you'd love to patronize our company, please make sure that you follow the QR codes. Any amount would do. And if you'd love to learn more about traveling, please, we do have Antoinette information below that if you would like to seek her out or follow her on social media, I know she's a wealth of knowledge if you would like to travel solo. Of course, I did it. It's awesome. And you should try it too. So as always, if it's the weekday or weekend, it is Coffee with Joy. Until then, you all live life on purpose and see you all soon. Oh no! Oh, I would have cropped it out. And since you moved it, good job.